take these one at a time, and can I give you 1 minute for each of them? So if we start off with the first one, and perhaps Pippa, you could start off with that one.
What, you just want us to run through the first one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, if we're running out of time, I won't even stand up.
1 minute.
Yeah. Well, on the Green Party leader financial support, I actually haven't seen the motion, and I'm not sure exactly what it would mean, but I stood here to take this job on, not expecting more than expenses. Okay. Now that doesn't mean that that's fair, because there are other people who perhaps aren't, who don't have an income who would like to stand for leader. So I think in the interest of complete fairness, there should be something, and I wouldn't think it should be much, because I believe our money, whatever we've managed to glean, should be spent on campaigning and on communicating, not on individuals.
Yeah, it's a worthwhile question to ask, Robert. I earned just over £29,000 as a lecturer for the last year, and I've been doing lecturing for 3 years since getting beat by Nick Griffin for the Euro seat here in the North West. If I get elected as Green Party leader on the 3rd of September, I terminate my contract at work with immediate effect. They've said that I can go. Then that weekend at conference decides whether or not they're going to pay me something. Right? So what I'm saying is I'm giving up my job without any promise, and I've got 2 kids, I've got a family, I've got to have them looked after. So that's my situation. I can't do it on fresh air, and that's as honest. But I wouldn't be expecting a pay rise. I would actually take a small pay cut on what I'm earning at the moment.
Well, my personal situation, I'll stand up because everyone's craning in the back otherwise. My personal situation was that I was the editor of The Guardian Weekly, the Guardian's international edition, until March this year. I decided then to leave that after 20 years in journalism because I was fed up with reporting the news and I wanted to change the news. And my intention then was to write a book, Our Economic and Environmental Crisis and How to Get Out of it. Circumstances changed, I'm now here, but like Peter says, I can't live on air. I need some source of income. If I'm going to devote myself fully to politics for the next 2 years without an elected position that pays, there needs to be some way of doing that. And I spoke to the Green Party chief executive, who's spoken to, I think, or is available to all the leadership candidates. And basically the sum of money is about a London living wage, is the sort of money that they're looking at, considering, depending what happens at conference.
Sorry, can you just say what that is for people who might not know?
It's the equivalent of £8.30 an hour, which comes out to something like £14,000 a year. It's in that kind of range.
Okay, can we take question 2, which is about the vision beyond target to win? And can I start with you?
Sure. I've long been talking about what I call Target to Win Plus. And where I see that getting us is that I'd like to see, by the end of this decade, a Green Party councillor in every major town and city and lots of rural areas too, up and down the country. And I'd like to see an MEP in every region of the country. Now that's going to have to be a staged process. Different parties, different regions are at different levels of development. And we've heard a lot of people talking about, and something I've been talking about from the start, the West Midlands model. And that means what the West Midlands doing is very much working as a team, providing guidance rather than just leaving local parties to sink or swim. Then what they're doing is making sure there's guidance on everything from how to greet a new member, to how to select the target ward, to how to really work your first target ward, to how to go from 1 councillors to 2 to 6, as Solihull's done very quickly. So what we need to do is look at each local party, see whether it's a case of building them up, setting a target ward, or getting bigger. And we need to make sure that everywhere across the country is making progress.
Okay, well, political strategy, as you all know, isn't made by the leader in isolation. It's made by all of us. But yeah, of course I have some ideas. I'm a very creative person. And one thing I will say to you is I believe that our success will not necessarily come through the ballot box, which is why I think we should be working really hard as a grassroots movement, engaging people in a way which is slightly different from the way that we've engaged people before. Rather than giving out our policies, we should be looking at their problems and finding the policies that fit them and communicating in this way. So, target to win is rarely done properly. And thinking beyond target to win is all very well, but certainly in Wales, where people think they've picked their target wards or anything, they're not using target to win anyway. They're using some weak, diluted version. Target to win is a damn good strategy. But aside from that, we've got to be working not just at election time. Every one of us has to get involved in what's happening on the ground floor of life, on the campaigns that are going on in all our localities. And I've just felt that umbrella come and put me off stage.
If Miranda doesn't mind, I'll take that 30 seconds now. You might be the first people to hear this from me. If that's the case, if Natalie's right, because I've been given different information, but if Natalie's right, I can't stand for leader with the amount that's on offer. So you may well find, I will send emails to clarify, but I cannot put my family in a situation where we can't afford to live and we have no income. So I will clarify that tomorrow, but you may well be the first people to hear that. But I was under the, obviously, misapprehension if it's compared to the information that you've been given. So I will continue to answer questions, obviously, and move on, but I can't leave my family in a situation where we can't afford to live. And that's the end of that. Nigel, it's a good question. Political strategy after target to win. Target to win's the beginning of wisdom. It's got us a foothold. We know the stuff in target to win that works. Things like delivering a letter to postal voters. If we can do that, if we can replicate that at a regional level in the Euro elections in 2014, then we can win across an entire region, because we know that that's definitely going to improve our voter turnout, it's going to improve votes for us. So there are lessons that we can take from target to win forward. But you're right, as we get bigger, as we get more successful, we're going to have a new strategy.
Okay. Can I ask if people want to come back on those points so far?
Sam Riches from North Lancashire, I'm a county councillor on Lancashire County Council. I'm a bit concerned with what you said. You made it sound as if as a political party we shouldn't actually be mainly focused on getting people elected. Admittedly, I'm one of only 2 Greens on the council, and we have a limit on what we can achieve, particularly when we've got an absolute majority of Conservatives. But I don't really see the role for a political party being elsewhere other than being focused on getting people elected. So could you maybe just explain a bit more about what you meant?
And who are you addressing that to?
Pippa.
Pippa, yeah.
We're not, shall I go straight back?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, we're not just any other political party for a start. And we've got clear areas of definition. One of the things I desperately want to do is grow the membership. I would say that is the key to the next stage of the development of this particular organisation. But we're not necessarily going to do that through the ballot box. We actually have so much that defines us, which is not about politics, but it's about a movement of people in a certain direction, that I think we should be working with that. Now, I would fight every election tooth and nail. Please don't get me wrong, okay? I fought 3 already myself. I do know what it is to come crawling home, never able to take another step and deliver another letterbox, another leaflet through another letterbox. I would certainly fight every election and give it absolutely everything and employ good strategies to do that. But in between elections, we've got to be doing stuff, okay? We're not just going to sit and wait for the next 2 years or whatever it is, and I go, okay, there are by-elections. I really think we do have to make movements at a grassroots level. I think we do have to engage people. You know, we're going to stay a white middle-class organisation if we just concentrate on elections.
Can I stop you there?
I'm just so away with that subject.
Okay, we're going to move on to we're going to miss the spiky and fluffy because I want to leave that till the end. Should we use localism? And if not, what's the Green Party alternative? Perhaps I can start here.
Yeah, sure. At Camden Green Party, we actually had a very good speaker from the Local Government Association came and gave us a very long briefing on the Localism Bill. And the short version of that was it's very much a double-edged sword. You can use it for positive reasons. It can very easily be used for lots of reasons that we would absolutely unutterly hate. The situation is, you know, it's now there in law, so I think it's an answer question of having to try and use it, you know, judiciously when we can, and just fight like hell when it's badly used against us. I don't think there's no perfect answer to that situation. It makes me think of a situation in Camden. I'm a member of a local cooperative, the People's Supermarket, which is trying to, it runs as a cooperative, no profits to anybody except back into the business. Local supplies, zero waste. They make ready meals out of the fruit and veg that are about to go off. And the local Labor Council says, we're not going to give you any rates relief. It's just like a Tesco, you supply food. What's the difference? And that, to me is an example of how, the Labor Party just fails to get localism.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I'd echo what Natalie said there, and I think we are a party that goes for decentralisation in all aspects of what we do, and quite rightly so, because what we know is that centralism doesn't work, whether you have that in a capitalist economy or a command communist economy. When you pull things into the centre, you end up with bureaucracy, you end up with corruption. What we do need to do is decentralise and trust people to be able to run their own affairs. And it's an anarchist principle, that people can self-organise and people can run things at a most local level. And yes, that is something that the Green Party should continue to pioneer and advocate.
I just want to share with you yesterday's Argus, as they say down my way, okay, where we actually won a battle against an incinerator. And this battle's been raging for about 18 months, and you all know what local campaigns are like. And the Green Party got lots of mentions. We're involved in a grassroots campaign. Localism Bill affected us because it meant, and our strategy was to bring the councillors along with us. It's a Labour majority with a quite a small majority. And it meant that the councillors who were involved with the campaign could also sit on the planning committee. And that hadn't happened before. They were actually empowered to be more involved in the communities. This is great, but I'm in Wales and the Localism Bill fits us sometimes, which means that, frankly, every time I take something new on, I go and I take advice, because it is a bit of dodgy stuff, really. It applies in some cases and not in others. And I just want to say that it's not clear in all cases how it should be used, which is its greatest weakness.